Hi, this is Curt, and welcome to another edition of Fire Law Roundup.
All right, let's go to Arizona.
Yeah.
Also really interesting and really confusing. So here we have an Arizona firefighter. He claims that he was terminated for reporting illegal conduct. Now, I want to start this by saying I watch Fire Country, and this reminds me of the TV show Fire Country because if you don't watch it, I'm not suggesting you do or don't, but this is exactly what happens in a number of the episodes. So here we have a firefighter who I think is a supervisor, but alleged, and this is the Fire Country program. This is the Department of Justice or DOCS or whatever puts prisoners right into the Department of Forestry and Fire Management, and they become kind of workers and firefighters. So here, this a firefighter reported, and I don't understand the age discrimination, we'll get to that, but reported basically that some of these individuals are using spice, which I guess is a synthetic marijuana type product, but it's illegal, certainly. And he reported allegedly that some crew members were involved in dealing and drug dealing.
Let me just fill you in on the age and some of the other things. So it'll help it make more sense. He was in charge of this corrections firefighting unit. So he was a career employee with the Arizona Department of Forestry, and he's supervising this crew of criminals. And he gets a deployment order, and he says, "We're not going." Okay. And they said, "What do you mean you're not going?" And he said, "Here's why we're not going." And then his employer, or one of his supervisors, apparently said, or at least according to him, apparently threatened him with being replaced with a younger supervisor. And he was advised not to make a formal allegation about this and not make it a big deal. And he pressed it. He pressed the issue. That's the allegation. Now,
and these are all just allegations, right?
I would imagine the state has an entirely different take on why this guy didn't want to deploy on that particular day, and it may go to some other issues. But at least as far as the complaint goes, that's the allegation. And
he works some other stuff in, right? He works disability in. He misses an issue about which we'll talk about, but he works disability in, saying the stress and all this, and these harassments, whatever, it triggers a migraine. So now he's got potentially an Americans with Disabilities issue, which he's alleging.
There's another issue beneath the surface here that you may, all right.
That's where I'm going. I'll get there in a minute.
I want to make sure you got it.
And I read the complaint just to make sure they didn't allege it. Where Curt and I are going, our Family Medical Leave Act, we'll talk about that. It's not alleged in any event. So we have the age issue, we have a discrimination issue, we have a whistleblowing issue where he alleges, and I think I'm going to cut out here because we just froze.
Oh.
So I'm going to take a moment and pause as I get kicked off and come back on. Hopefully, I'll be back momentarily.
All right. So while Brad is
I'm back.
Oh, there we go. Wow, that was
quick. All right. So this happens. I apologize when I'm home. I get kicked off every so often. So I don't know where we are. I saw you lost me, but so we have the age discrimination allegation, which, by the way, went through a process where they found reasonable cause. The state commission found reasonable cause to support an age discrimination case. But and it's weird. I guess they only dealt with the age discrimination case, but he's also got a whistleblower case saying, well, I turned the department in about the drug issue. He's got the disability, the ADA disability case, which doesn't have to go through the state process. And the one he misses here, as we were talking about, is the Family and Medical Leave Act, which said he needed time off, etc. He could have raised FMLA retaliation discrimination for, hey, I have a disability or I have a medical condition. I needed time off. You refused to give it to me. You fired me. So they had a bunch of them. I will also say, look, this is just allegations. I don't know that we need to say more. You're 100% right? The state's going to come in and have a totally different story. This guy's, and I'm making this up for everybody, right? They could allege this guy's been a problem employee and we did investigate, but the complaint alleges all of these things. And I don't love how the complaint's written. They put the bases for the complaint for the lawsuit in a heading, and you shouldn't do that. Headings aren't admissible necessarily as part of the body of your complaint. But nonetheless, what they do is they outline all in the heading. Okay, we're age discrimination in the heading, and whistleblowing in the heading, not in the basis. But the reason I bring that up is because their first allegation is age. And I was a little confused why would you go with age when it seems like reporting the drug issue is a bigger one and might have, right? And the medical may be bigger. Why are we going on age? Because most of this seems retaliatory, and age is just a, minor part of it. They just brought it up or whatever. But in any event, I think the reason he raises age is because they've already got a state entity, right, saying reasonable, that's a reasonable claim, and gives them the right to sue letter, and says,
I think the whistleblower is a state law whistleblower. There's no federal whistleblower that he's alleging, and he's in federal court. So in order to stay in federal court, he's alleging the ADA.
Yeah, that's the primary. That makes some more sense.
I think that would be one explanation for it.
Yeah, and I would surprise say you would think with yes, federal. I assume this is all state criminals, but they're on land. I don't know. I could see a way to work in some federal stuff possibly, but nonetheless, there they are. So it's an interesting claim. We're going to see how that works out. And you're right. The state's going to come in with a whole different story.
Oh, absolutely. But I will tell you, this guy is he almost immediately apparently got a job with the Pine Top Fire District, who's one of my I feel like a closeness. I've been to Pine Top a couple of times. I love the area. It's just a beautiful, absolutely beautiful part of Arizona. Arizona is such a beautiful state to begin with, but it's just absolutely beautiful up there. But he got picked up almost immediately by the Pine Top Fire District. And they do a lot of wildland firefighting. I was actually funny. I was in California visiting my son, and we stopped in to get a sandwich at a restaurant, and 2 Pine Top fire trucks pull in, and I'm going, "Are you guys from Pine Top, California?" "No, we're from Pine Top, Arizona. We're deploying up to a fire upstate."
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so they've got they're very, very well known for being a good wildland fire department.
And in of course, LA, you mentioned California. LA on Saturday, yesterday, had that huge fire under the bridge, under a highway, and the highways melted steel, but they had 116 or so firefighters. It was a big deal.
I missed that. I'm traveling. For those of you, if you haven't figured it out, my hair's a mess. I'm exhausted. I'm out on the West Coast, and doing some training out here. So
you missed the big
news.
That's okay. My wife sent it to me, so she's like, "Hey, did you see this?" So it's always good when your wife is feeding you the meat.